Hi there guys, and welcome to another episode of the Cover Zero Show with me, your host Simon Conboy. Continuing on with my draft preview series today, this episode will be focusing on the NFC East champion Dallas Cowboys. Now if you've not seen one of these before, I'll be going through what the team's major needs are in this upcoming draft, the player I've given to them in my first round mock, and offering suggestions as to what players may be available for each of their picks within the first 3 rounds, what directions they could look to go in, who I think would be good fits and make sense for the organisation. So in terms of the team needs for the Cowboys, I think offensively they look very, very solid at the moment. Of course, great offensive line, even if they lost a couple of players during free agency. Receiving group isn't bad. Tight end's a bit of a need, but Witten's re-signed and he should be able to go for another couple of seasons, you would think. So their needs, as you may expect, lie heavily on the defensive side of the ball. Now the primary 3 I've listed are defensive end and defensive tackle and safety. Now I can understand why people would think cornerback would be on that list. I've decided to remove it simply because with Rod Marinelli as the coordinator, I think the safety spot is more important, having lost 2 contributors in free agency. I think safety is vital. Now, with Rod Marinelli's scheme, you're playing cover 2 all the time. They do need a corner. Let's not say they don't need one, but the defensive line is definitely more of a priority in making that scheme work. It is all about being able to get front 4 pressure, and that is not something that they've been able to do consistently. There's no major threats there, and in order for this scheme to be maximised, they did a very good job last year of performing as well as they did considering the overall talent level. But adding a top tier player to that defensive line as well as getting another safety in, I think are the keys. But they do still need a corner. It's just I can only put 3 needs. So I think these are more important positions. In the first round, however, in my mock, I had them taking David Njoku, the tight end from Miami. That's simply a case of if he were to fall to them, I absolutely think it's something they would do. He's got an incredible amount of upside. He's got the potential to be one of the elite receiving tight ends in the league. He's got a great skill set. Having the ability for him to learn off of Jason Witten as well would be superb for them. They could use him really effectively. 2 tight end sets. It is a bit of a need spot as well, so I think that would be perfect for them, even if it doesn't address one of the glaring needs on the defensive side of the ball. Other considerations in round 1, I think they could definitely go safety. Buda Baker would be an option, possibly Obi Melifonwu. I could see them taking Adoree Jackson if he's available. It just seems to me to be a Jerry Jones kind of move, a very high upside player who can immediately boost the return game as well, even if he's not necessarily a scheme fit in that you don't need supreme athletes to play corner in the cover 2 scheme. Other guys, Jabril Peppers, he could potentially fall to them. I think he'd garner consideration. Takaris McKinley, give him a pass rusher. If any of the higher rated pass rushers fall to them, then I think they snap them up. Derek Barnett would be perfect. I don't see him getting to this spot in the draft, however. They could also go corner. Guys like Tre'Davious White, possibly Gary and Conley could be available, and they would also make sense. Heading into sort of round 2, similar sort of thing. Safeties, corners. I think finding a pass rusher at this stage is a bit more difficult. All the top guys are off the board. They could consider Tyrus Bowser in round 2, possibly in round 3. I guess a lot of these players could be available at either of those spots. It's difficult to say at this point. Guys like Desmond King, it's possible Buda Baker and Melifonwu are available at this point. Either of the 2 defensive tackles, I'll be mentioning them a lot, simply because I'm really unsure at this point where the 2 top rated defensive tackles are going to go. That being the kid from Florida, whose name has briefly eluded me, but I'll remember, and the Michigan State kid as well. I will remember both their names. Didn't write them down. I've been mentioning them so much, I really should remember at this point. So those are two players I could see them considering in the second. I don't think either of them becomes available to them in the third. That would be very, very... Malik McDowell, that's the Michigan State kid. Yeah, it's a tough one. It could, as I say, finding pass rushes is, I think, very, very difficult in the draft. I think they'll really be hoping to try and get someone in the first and then attack those secondary needs in the second and third. As I say, there are a number of options available. Marcus Williams as well, actually, in round 3 or round 2. I think he'd be a really good pick for them in round 2. I've been watching his tape in the last couple of days. I think he looks like quite a good player. So it's Sidney Jones as well. They could do something very similar, I think, in round 2, possibly even in round 1. But I don't think they'd do that with what they've done with Jalen Smith. You know, he's of course not going to contribute next year, but if he's available at the end of round 1 or even round 2, again with these kind of injuries, who knows when someone to take a flyer, he could certainly be a great option. Awuzie, he's another corner option, perhaps in round 3. We'll see what they do. Definitely going to look to see where they target, because they do have a tendency to go best player available. So, which is why I've mentioned some of the players I have. Of course, it's the defensive side that needs upgrading. There were some key losses in that defensive backfield. Those are the spots I expect them to most aggressively address, and there will be a pass rusher at some point. What do you guys think? Are there any players that you think I've missed out that you'd like to see the Cowboys consider? Do you agree with me that if Njoku falls to them, that 1, they'd pick him, and 2, it would be a good pick? I personally think it would be a wonderful fit. This is a team that can really use a 2 tight end offense, you know, to great effect. It's such a good offensive line. Witten can help in the blocking game, and I think, you know, in terms of the receivers, I'm not a huge fan of Terrence Williams. I actually think going Beasley, Bryant, and those 2 tight ends with DeMarco in the backfield would probably be a better group. Build out another option, that's for sure. Whilst I like the options that the Cowboys do have in the receiving game, I don't think they've got enough of them, and I think Njoku would give another. I really do think he'd be a great pick, but you know, I'm interested to see whether you guys agree. You know, let me know your opinions on this. Let me know below in the comments section, whether it's through the Cover Zero Facebook page or find me on Twitter at Simon Conboy. I'll be more than happy to respond to anybody who gets in touch. As always, you know, if you've enjoyed this, check out some of the other episodes. The rest of the NFC East will be done by the end of the week. I'll be doing another mock draft on Friday, along with my weekly review show, where I will be discussing Tony Romo's retirement. And I've not really discussed retirements. A couple of the other players. The other big Cowboy, I guess, being DeMarcus Ware. So I'll discuss some of those players in their legacies on Friday, along with my mock draft. So definitely check that episode out. I think that's going to be a really good one. As ever, thank you very much for your time. It's been a pleasure. Don't forget, if you could like, share, subscribe, it'd be thoroughly appreciated. Check out the Patreon and all that good stuff. It'd be grand. Thank you very much. Have a good day, and go Bucks.